Assalamu alaikum, shalom, Islam to all the Moors. Welcome to the free astrotheology course. I am Dr. Yasapa. Here's our textbook. This is the Astrology of the Old Testament, or the Lost Word Regained, published in 1892. The author is Carl Anderson. Now, the Lost Word Regained, as I have shown, references or traces back to the Great Mother Typhoon in the celestial ship of the north, which is about the circumpolar zodiac projection, which is the original zodiac projection that existed since the beginning, up until about, according to their story, up until about 4,000 to 4,500 BCE, when the Osirians came in and destroyed our ancient ancestors who kept that mindset, which was, again, the circumpolar zodiac's projection, circle 7, the Great Bear, rotating or revolving around the pole star, whichever pole star it was at the time. And it continues to this day. We call that circle 7 because the first material thing that was created, according to the story, is the Great Bear, today known as the Big Dipper. And then all life and time, well, all material things and time itself have their origin from the Great Bear. All right, so the matrix or the Gyna matrix, okay? So specifically the thigh, this is why you hear the Great Mother Typhoon being referred to as the thigh, okay? So that reckoning time and reality by nature or by the stars, the stellar reckoning of time, okay? Not the sun, not the S-U-N sun, and not the moon, but the stars, specifically the circumpolar constellations, all right? So that would include, again, the Great Bear, which is the minute hand of the clock of destiny, and Sirius the dog star in the southern celestial pole region, which is the hour hand of the clock of destiny. So our ancestors drew a boundary, a circular boundary around that which is boundless, which is space, which is the bottomless abyss, okay, which is dark. Some people say the triple darkness of space, a superabundance of blackness or darkness. All of this traces back to the Great Mother, the celestial ship of the north. Okay, so that's where we get circle 7 and clock of destiny and the origin of life and of time, right? That first revolution around the pole star marked the beginning of time, according to our ancestors, the way they put this whole thing together. And then, of course, natural law that governs the way intelligent men and women, intelligent sons with a womb and sons without a womb, interact with one another or do commerce with one another. It is to do no wrong, do no harm. That's the natural law that govern our commerce, our interaction with one another, okay? So that's the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers. That's the lost word. And right now we are regaining that lost word, regaining that mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers. And the way that we are doing this is by reverse engineering the solar religions, Judaism and Christianity, their dogmatic belief systems, their doctrines, and then the mythologies that they originate from in the solar zodiac projection. Okay, so those mythologies in the solar zodiac projection, because the solar religions are a remix of the solar zodiac projection. The solar zodiac projection is a remix of the circumpolar zodiac projection. All right, y'all? So, so again, the lost word regained. That lost word is a circumpolar zodiac projection, or you can say circle 7 and the clock of destiny, natural law, do no harm, don't injure anyone, okay? Whereas the mindset of the Solarites, those people who are into the solar zodiac projection, or part of these solar religions like Christianity, Judaism, Hebrew Israelitism, their mindset is doctrine, dogmatic religious doctrine. Okay? Dogmatic religious doctrine, which is more often than not out of harmony with natural law, particularly the natural law, which is that governs us, autochthonous Moors. Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, autochthonous Moors, which is to not harm anyone directly or indirectly. Don't injure anyone directly or indirectly. Don't take something from someone else that you don't have, that's not rightfully yours. Okay, so we have two opposing zodiac projections. Okay, one based in natural law that reckons time, reckons reality by the stars and natural law. And then we have the other, which is a solar zodiac projection, okay, which reckons time by the sun's movement along the ecliptic, okay? And what y'all are gonna find out, and I kind of touched on this in a message to some of my friends today. What you're gonna find out is that the house of Yasharallah, the biblical Israelites, trace back to, have their origin in the celestial ship of the north, the circumpolar zodiac projection. Okay, the 10 tribes, everything traces back, and it was remixed into what we know today, the 12 tribes, right? The focus on the Father. Okay, that's a remix. And in fact, I'll go ahead and tell you, maybe some of you all might not like it, and it might cause you to start doing some research. The YHWH, the Tetragrammaton, Yahuwah, Yahweh, however you want to pronounce his name, Yahoo, whatever way you choose, it was initially introduced as a feminine deity. In fact, a remix of the Great Mother Typhoon. A remix of the Great Mother Typhoon, which is why its true pronunciation has been hidden. Because if you knew how to pronounce it, you would know it's feminine. Okay? But again, that was changed to the extreme opposite. So masculine, feminine, the extreme opposite, that's polarity, right? So they use the Hermetic law of polarity. They just change it to the extreme opposite. Okay, so that's one of the principles that they always use, the Hermetic principle of polarity, when they're running this game on you. Okay, but so what we're doing is reverse engineering, deconstructing, so we can learn, right, how they operate, what principles they're using, so we can deconstruct it, reverse engineer it, and then come back home to ourselves. And you'll find out when you knock on that door, it's you who's there, not some external deity. Anyway, you can get that information in The Celestial Ship of the North by E. Valencia Stratton, published in 1927. It's a 2-volume work. Okay, so I teach The Celestial Ship of the North on our other YouTube channel. Okay, I teach it on our other YouTube channel, which is called North. So search North, North, on YouTube. You'll find it. If it doesn't come up at the top, which it probably won't, just search my my appellation, Dr. Yasapa, Yasapa, along with North. Okay, y'all? So let's get into our lesson for today, which is on page 197 in our textbook, The Astrology of the Old Testament, or The Lost Word Regained, published in 1892 by Carl Anderson. Y'all keep that in mind, The Lost Word Regained. So when I initially saw this title, I thought he was referring to the lost word being astrology. But I was only half right. He was referring to, I thought, the solar zodiac projection. But if you know this information, yes, depending on your level, right? If you're in religion, you think that he's referring to something that's in religion, right? But if you learn about astrotheology, the current astrotheology projection, which is the solar zodiac projection, you think he's talking about the lost word is the solar zodiac projection being the source of all of these solar religions, and you think that's it. But when you learn more, when you learn about the Great Mother Typhoon, you learn about the circumpolar zodiac projection, you learn about natural law to do no harm, then you realize, okay, by the lost word regained, that's only to be known by those who know. Okay, those who don't know, who are still in religion, they might connect that to something to do with the word in John chapter 1. Okay, those who may have made it to the degrees in, let's say, secret societies, Freemasonry, the upper level degrees, who learned about astrotheology, they may think it's talking about astrotheology, the sun, the S-U-N sun, right? As it moves along the ecliptic from one zodiac sign to the other. You think that that's it, that's the whole story. Okay, so it's based upon your knowledge base, so don't reject this. Study it and learn it. Study and learn before you reject. Okay, so we're on page 197. Second paragraph. No, I want to. Last paragraph on the page. This is, the fifth sign is Virgo. Or, by the way, so remember when I mentioned earlier that we, the house of Yasharallah, the so-called Israelites, we originate in the thigh of the Great Bear, in the northern solar zodiac projection. This is the Great Mother Typhoon, right? So we originate there, and then we enter into the earth plane, right? So that's the gynomatrix. We enter into the earth plane, and then as thought, which is a function of the mind, we're still energy, consciousness, right? We get clothed, or we are wrapped in earth, in soil, right? As the Genesis chapter 2 says, the Most High created man from the dust of the ground, and breathed into his life, into his nose, or into his nostrils the breath of life. So my point is that that's where we originate. So we have to keep this in mind because we're dealing with civics, law, international law. Okay, international law. So in this discussion, the law of mentalism, they refer to, the ecclesiastical class refers to the first law of thermodynamics, from which the other 6 laws come from. They refer to that as God, capital G-O-D, God Almighty, the supreme creator. But we know that the law of mentalism is intelligence, right? Consciousness, all intelligence, all consciousness, all imagination, right? So if we know that that's where we originate, now you understand the relationship between God and law. See, you understand the relationship between God and law and why there are certain groups of beings who want to deny that there is a God, right? Why? To break the relationship between God and law. Y'all see it? To disconnect, to terminate that relationship. If that relationship is ever terminated, then land and law being unseparable would no longer exist. Okay? All right? God's law rules. Land, again, if you look it up in the law dictionary, land means mores, M-O-O-R-S. Mores and land are inseparable. Therefore, mores are the substance and subject matter of the law. That's a maxim of law. Therefore, land is the substance and subject matter of the law. See, double meaning. If you don't know any better, you'll think land is land. If you know better, you know mores, that is a nationality, a political status, a civil status. Then you will understand the preamble of the Constitution. The Constitution of the United States of America, the organic Constitution. You understand the preamble, we the people. Why they could ordain and establish that Constitution? Because they have the power to. And that power is celestial, right? Because they are thought made manifest from the soil. You cannot give what you do not have. Then you understand the principle of diversity of citizenship. Right? Article 3, courts, consular jurisdiction. Article 10, the reserved rights of the people. So this is civics we're dealing with that has been masked. It's masked, hidden. But when our ancestors, before we were conquered and the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers was destroyed, and attempted to be erased from all history, Psalms 83. Everybody knew this information. This is not new stuff. Okay, it's only been hidden since the solar Zodiac projection has come into being. That's when it was hidden and only taught in mystery schools, right? Why? Because they want to consolidate, concentrate power, rob you of your birthright. Okay, have you living with the mindset of an animal, not knowing who you are, and that all that they have belongs to you by birthright. So you didn't even do anything to get it. Yours by birthright, simply because of who you are. All right, you are the Elohim. There's something I want to say too. It'll come to me. I lost the thought. The machine kind of, so much going on. I lost my thought. Um, when it comes back to me, I'll share it. Hey y'all, like and share this video, okay? Text somebody and tell them to tune in. All right, so we get a good crowd. All right, don't mind the number of people watching the stream. It's never accurate. When I check the analytics, it's always more than what it shows. I think they do that to discourage people or to make people think nobody's interested. When I check the analytics on the streaming software that I'm using now, it's always more than what it shows on YouTube who are watching the live stream, right? So yeah, I think they do that so that people who see it will think nobody's interested, so they won't click on it, right? Because I just realized, I think I've been doing this online 5 years. I looked at a video that I had posted. It said 5 years. I can't believe it's that long. It's probably longer than that. But anyway, let's keep it going. So, and my point is that they're shadow banning. This YouTube channel. So if y'all will tell your friends we're live, at least they can get the information, all right? Because we all need this. We all must return to the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers and escape, run away from the solar zodiac projection and its dogmatic religions, and return to the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers, which is the clock of destiny and circle 7, the Hermetic Laws, right, y'all? And do no harm, do no injury. That's it. All right. To return to it means to perceive reality. To reckon time by the stars, all of that. Perceive reality from that mindset, and to behave and do commerce, interact with one another with that mindset, right? Okay, which is vastly different. It's a huge contrast to religious people, right? That dogmatic religious stuff. So anyway, let's get back to it. Page 189. The fifth sign is Virgo, or the celestial version. As above, so below. As below, so above. Virgo, the celestial virgin. Of course, in religion, you get, in Christianity, you get the Virgin Mary. In the Greek mythology, you get Ceres, C-E-R-E-S, so on and so forth, right? They just remixed it. There are many, but as above, so below, okay? Well, I'll come back to it. I don't know if I should share it here because I shared it with the group. So I'm not going to share it here. If y'all want access to that information, you have to become part of this little group. Just put a message in the comment section, and then you can read what I posted in the group. Okay. All right. So Virgo, or the celestial virgin, and as the Ceres, so there it is, C-E-R-E-S of the Greeks, the favorite house of Mercury. So now, y'all, we're dealing with the favorite house of Mercury. So we already know who Mercury is, right? Mercury is the messenger in all of the solar religions. Mercury is the messenger in all of the solar religions, right? In terms of the mythology, of course, Mercury is also a planet, so we would concern ourselves with Mercury and its location relative to the sun. And the reason why we want to know that is we want to know how quickly, how rapidly it revolves around the sun compared to the other planets. Y'all follow? All right, so let's keep going. Okay, so Virgo is the favorite house of Mercury, the messenger Messiah. It's right here. A Rab. That's what it says. A comma Rab. Not comma. A hyphen Rab. A hyphen R-A-B. Or the wandering teacher. Okay? Mercury is the messenger Messiah, the Arab or wandering teacher, who is never more than 30 degrees from the Escheat sun in aspect, and is the house of study and learning and knowledge of all kinds, and represents a garden, a place where all manner of fruit and edibles are kept. So anytime you see a garden, that's going to trace back to, or have something to do with the Great Mother Typhoon, right? So this would be tracing back from what I'm saying right now is mother and son. Okay, I'm saying mother and son, but let's continue to see where this is going. All right. We're all vitalizing things or refreshing to nature. So in this sign, Virgo was the Garden of Eden. There you go. All right, there you go. The Garden of Eden. And of course, the Garden of Eden is located in the northern circumpolar region of space. So now we're dealing with the celestial ship of the north. We're dealing with the Great Mother Typhoon, y'all. And in fact, it's even in this book right here. You're looking at the Celestial Ship of the North, Volume 1. It's in the book. But if you don't have this knowledge, you'll think that this Garden of Eden is a Garden of Eden in Genesis chapter, what is it, chapter 3? I don't remember exactly. Your chapter 3 and 4, I think. Okay? All right? So now let's continue. So in Virgo, or on the 30th degree of north latitude between the tropics. What are the tropics? The tropics are in the north, the Tropic of Cancer, and the original sign for Cancer was not the Cancer that we know today, which is the crab. It was something else. And the image that we see is not a crab. It's actually two breasts, right? Two breasts. So that's the Tropic of Cancer in the north, approximately 23.5 degrees north, and the which is the summer solstice. And so the sun, the Escheat sun, will ascend to its highest point along the ecliptic on approximately June 22nd. That's the summer solstice. If you were to draw a line straight down, the sun would descend to its lowest elevation on December 22nd, which is the winter solstice, which is the Tropic of Cancer, negative 23.5 degrees south. Y'all follow? All right. So Virgo on the 30th degree of north latitude between the two tropics was the Garden of Eden. Now, I taught that in my, I taught it in my, I think it was 506, the Curses course. See, what we're looking at is the coffee belt, y'all. Between that band, it goes across the globe. That band, 23.5 north, 23.5 south, that band is the coffee belt. Okay? So those of the scholars in in the classes where I taught that, y'all will know the location of the promised land according to Moses. If you don't know, watch the video that I posted, the location of the promised land according to Moses. Okay, it's a deep dive into it. There's no doctrine. We study the literal meaning of the text. Okay, so we study word by word, sentence by sentence. Okay, and it says something completely different than what you read in English. Okay, this is what the ancient Ibaryath will do for you. It will free your mind from these religious doctrines, and it will show you truth. Okay, y'all? All right, now let's keep it going. And in her, and here in the mist, or on the line, just when Libra, or Libra, however you want to pronounce it, or the center of the solar system. Did y'all hear that? Just when Libra, or the center of the solar system, scales of justice, okay? Scales of justice, the scales of justice, ma'at, all right? Why is that important? Well, because, I don't know if I should say that here. I'm not gonna say it here. I'll let it go. You can join the group, just give me your WhatsApp info, or send me an email, yasapa@zionlawschool.org, and you can get it there. Okay. All right. Where the vertical line joined the vertical line is a solstitial line, right, y'all? So where the vertical line joins the horizontal line, this is what you get. All right. So you get the four corners. You get the cardinal points: north, south, east, and west. And then this would be the fixed cross, but we're not talking about the fixed cross, which is the Ta in the ancient Ibaryath, the Ta cross, or the Tau, as they remix it into the Greek. Okay? So north, south, east, and west. The solstitial line is the Mortuus standing erect on his own 2 feet. His head represents the celestial North Pole. That would be the Great Mother Typhoon. The mindset, listen y'all, the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers. See, and Bay tells us that on page 38 or 36 of Clock of Destiny, Volume 2. Okay, so the Moor is standing up with his feet in the south celestial pole at a 90-degree angle to his former position when he was laying down in a dead state, civilly dead state, with his head in the east gate. East gate would be Aries. Aries is the lamb. In religion, the lamb is the Lamb of God, who is JC. Right, y'all? So the Moor is in a dead state. Dead. Also, so he's civilly and politically dead, also dead in his mind. Why? Because he's broken the Most High's commandments. That's why. She is not honoring his or her ancient foremothers and forefathers, which is the circumpolar zodiac projection, circle 7, clock of destiny. Hermetic laws and the natural law governing all commerce, all interaction between intelligent sons with a woman without a womb, which is do no harm, do no injury. All right. So when the Moor is laying in a dead state, his feet are in Libra. So the curses are being executed on that son. Deuteronomy chapter 28, 15 through 68. All right, y'all? So when the Moor is standing up, erect, at a 90-degree angle to his former dead state, we see the four corners. We see the squares, right? We see the four squares, the corners of the four squares. Y'all see it? The angles. Y'all see the squares, the four squares? Y'all see it? Now his feet become the south, or his feet represent the south celestial pole, which is principles. So the more standing up with his head in the northern celestial pole means that he's returned to the mindset of his ancient foremothers and forefathers. He's living harmonically with nature. He's not breaking the Most High's commandments, religiously speaking. Y'all see it? He's honoring his ancient foremothers and forefathers, Exodus chapter 2, verse 12. How? By living, walking on principles that we just talked about. We just talked about those principles, right? Or we can express it: love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. The 5 greatest principles of the universe. Do no harm. Don't injure anyone. You can reduce that down. And that becomes its lowest, or that is its lowest common denominator. Y'all see? Equivalent statements. Y'all see? All right. So let me show y'all. So again, this is solstitial line. This is the horizontal line. And this is in the book. I'm showing y'all so y'all will understand. And this is where we get, actually CM Bay talks about longitude and latitude too. If y'all go read his work. Clock of Destiny, page 38. Page 38, yeah. So hold on, y'all. Let me try to do this without knocking the glasses over. Hold on. Wait a minute, let me get. Come on. Come on. I got to get rid of some of these glasses. If y'all want to support my work, feel free to do so I don't have to pay for everything myself. The links are in the description area of these videos. Or just let me just, can you take this? Wait, you know what, let me keep this one.
Ice.
Yeah, ice. You put ice? Thanks.
1 and 2.
No, just that. All right. So let me see if I can show y'all this. Y'all see the horizontal line in the last sentence toward the bottom of the page? Second from the last sentence, you see a vertical and a horizontal line. There's a lot of information encoded in this text. Thank you. There's a lot of information encoded in this text. This is why you must read The Clock of Destiny, volume 1 and 2, if you're ever going to understand this, okay? I'm certainly not making it up or talking about it just for the fun of it. But it's there, clear as day. Once you get the information, you can see it. I guess that's what I'm trying to say, okay? Also, you need to read Circle 7. In fact, when it stops raining here, I'm going to incorporate Circle 7 into all of this too, all right? Excuse me. So here we go, y'all. The author, I want to point this out. The author here writes in the paragraph above, he says, "He that have eyes to see, let him see." Here unites the solstitial line with the equinoctial line. We're talking about longitude and latitude. Longitude and latitude. This is celestial. And we're talking about the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers, reckoning time by the stars, reckoning reality, perception of reality, and how we deal with reality. Of course, that involves everything that I just said. So you should think about Mark chapter 4, verse 12. He that have eyes to see, let him see. But you can't see if you're still under the JC juice, because JC said he speaks to the people in parables and riddles and puzzles, so that although having eyes to see, they will never perceive. Having ears to hear, they will never hear. Why? Because if you ever hear, you have a chance to repent. What does repent mean? It means you stop doing what is bad. You get out of these solar religions. Okay? You abandon the focus on the solar zodiac projection and you return to the Great Mother, the circumpolar zodiac projection to reckon time, reality, which simply means the Hermetic Laws, right? Well, everything, without discussing, I don't want to keep repeating myself, which simply means everything we've already discussed. All right, do no harm. Okay, y'all? Now let's keep it moving. So, next paragraph. Oh, no, the next line. So it says here, where the solstitial line joined the equinoctial line, and which sign Libra, now perfectly known to the neophytes who have become as little children. You hear that? To the neophytes who have become as little children and who see the light now shining in the darkness. So what do we do? What do we do with this statement? Well, first of all, we know that darkness made light so that darkness could be seen. We get that out of the celestial ship of the north. We also find that our ancient ancestors said that, well, what the Solarites, what they call God today, is equivalent to what our ancestors called ancient darkness. Ancient darkness. And that darkness is eternal. It is pure light. But that sunlight is not eternal. And it ain't pure. But yet, the solar deities represent the S-U-N sun. Okay, but anyway, let's keep it going. He who sees the light was shining in the darkness. Now y'all understand what that is saying, right? The light shone in the darkness, but they perceived it not. Y'all see that? But they perceived it not. Well, wait a minute. Darkness produced light so that it could be seen. But they didn't see it. Why? Because they're blinded by the JC Jews. Okay, so here at the cross, in other words, they don't see, you don't see the Great Mother Hawthorne, the circumpolar zodiac, because you've been blinded. Okay, y'all? But anyway, let's keep it going. Here at the cardinal points, y'all, north, south, east, and west, solstitial line, in the center of the garden was the tree of life. So this is the solstitial line, y'all. That cross, this is the tree of life in the garden, okay? In the Garden of Eden, all right? Really, spiritually, and naturally. And here also, now go back to what we just read. Make sure we understand. Page 197, here's what it says. The favorite house of Mercury, the messenger of Messiah, that's JC, the Christ figure. All right? Or wandering teacher. Then it goes on, I'm going to go down a little bit further. It says, and in this house of study and learning and knowledge, there's studying and learning of knowledge of all kind, and represents a garden. Well, here we are, the solstitial line, the tree of life, the garden, a place where all manner of fruit and edibles are kept. Where all vitalizing things or refreshing to nature. Let's go back to page 198. All right. So in the center of the garden was a tree of life, really, spiritually, and naturally, and here also the sign of knowledge, and which taught also the ancient Marahatmas to prolong life, was the priest of the sun. So we already know that now we're in the solar zodiac projection dealing with the Osirians and Amun-Ra, right? Amun, Aman, Amen, Amin, Amun-Ra. Ra, sun deity, okay, y'all? The tetragram Aten. That's why HWH, who is Aten, Atun, all right? Sun god. So he continues. So there was the priest of the Escheat instructed to withhold it from the base. Listen, instructed to withhold it from the base, rabble, or uneducated teachers, that they might not become like one of them, and thus put their knowledge to common and base uses. And also by the multitude, in other words, don't give it to the teachers, and don't give it to the masses. And also by the multitude being well instructed, they would be less likely to be imposed upon. You hear that? So in other words, if the people know about the celestial ship of the north, about the circumpolar zodiac projection, about the mindset of their ancient foremothers and forefathers, about natural law, do no harm, do no injury, you can't use them. You can't take advantage of them. You can't rob them of their birthright. You can't use divide and conquer to subdue them. You can't keep them in misery and afraid so you can easily control them. In other words, they're not going to buy your BS. I'm going to say it again. Being well instructed. Being well instructed, that means you know the natural law. Don't harm anyone. Don't injure anyone, directly or indirectly. You know the Hermetic Laws. You know the circumpolar zodiac projection. You know how to reckon time stellarly and deal with reality. You're no longer under the Christ juice. They have no power over you now. So they don't want you to know, and they damn sure don't want someone like me and others teaching you this, because they lose control and they will become cursed, punished. In other words, their life will be miserable the same way most of our people's lives are miserable right now. All right? So in other words, we break their bond of control off of us. The JC Jews. Now let's continue, y'all. So if the masters are well instructed, they will be less likely to be imposed upon. Isn't that Mark chapter 4, verse 12? Why Jesus spoke to the people in parables and puzzles, so that they, although having eyes to see, they would not be able to perceive. Isn't that what he's saying? And they would then ascertain that knowledge was power, and not the priest that possessed the knowledge. So in other words, you don't need the ecclesiastical class anymore. You don't need that de facto magistrate anymore. You don't need their administrative departments and the beings who are acting as this and acting as that. You don't need them. You would realize that. And that by study, purification would mean going from the lower self to the higher self, right? Returning to the mindset of your ancient foremothers and forefathers. That's purification. And self-government, that's a Republican form of government. Guaranteed in the Constitution for the United States of North America that our ancestors ordained and established. Y'all heard? Self-government, the Republican form of government, the reserved rights of the people. That they could likewise become as priests themselves. You think they want you to know this knowledge? Absolutely not. The author is telling you why they don't want you to have it. Because you'll take your birthright back. And then they get cursed, right? This is what, y'all? Deuteronomy chapter 30. Does everyone see that? Let me share something with y'all. I think it's on page 30, page 32 of the Celestial Ship of the North. Let me share this with you. Okay. Now we're dealing with the Osirian's mindset. This would be the Kemetic people. And all of us are Kemetic. So the house of Yasharallah, who most people refer to as Israelites, you're also Kemetic. If you're Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, you're Kemetic. Same bloodline. Same bloodline. Okay? Here's what it says. Let me show y'all this. Pause this on the replay, okay? Let me show you this. Now y'all read that paragraph. Pause it on the replay. I don't know why they're cleaning up, but let me read this really quickly, okay? Let me walk you through this. Take special note. Negroes cannot go to heaven. Negroes are excluded from heaven. Let's read it. Page 32, The Celestial Ship of the North, by Emma Valencia Stratton, Volume 1. The Negroes were thought to be, Negroes would be denationalized Moors are referred to or branded as Negroes, blacks, all kind of names, right? The Negroes were thought to be the sons of the mythical Ham, who is Cam, K-A-M, a Hebrew narrative of the Egyptian lowercase god called Sevic Cronus. Sevic Cronus. Sevic Cronus is a remix of Sut, S-U-T, which is the firstborn son of the great mother Hathor, the great mother Typhoon. The firstborn son. So this is why I tell you, know who you are. Know who you are. I'm not saying it. They're saying it. That you are celestial. Let me say it again. Let me read it again. The Negroes were thought to be sons of the mythical Ham, H-A-M, who is Cam, K-A-M, a Hebrew derivative of the Egyptian god called Sevic Cronus. Okay, Cronus is time. Do y'all see that? This is what they're saying. A second phase, listen, a second phase of the son of the first mother. First mother is the great mother Typhoon, the celestial ship of the north, who, when he became planetary, see, now you see that planets came after. Now, when he became planetary was Saturn, whose color is black. Listen, y'all, listen. Astrologically, the planet Saturn is of greatest importance to the Negro race today. Now, this is in 1920, is it 21 or 27? I don't remember, when this book was published. Because it indicates a bridging over to a new condition. So this is, believe it or not, this is referring to the higher self and the lower self. So the Negro is in a lower self state. Everyone has two selves, the higher self and the lower self. This is one of the keys that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali brought back to us, right? Higher self and the lower self, okay? Now, almost all of these so-called Negroes even more so-called Moors, right? The way they live, are lower self, lower self. But we need to go back to that mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers, right? So there is a bridge between the lower self and the higher self. We need to cross over that bridge, walk over that bridge. It's called transmutation, right? In other words, we can look at it as the law of polarity. Higher self here, lower self here. We need to transmute up by doing what? Changing our thinking and our behavior. By, in other words, another return to that mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers. That is the Hermetic Laws, the celestial ship of the north, right, y'all? It's repetitive, right? The celestial ship of the north. Don't harm anyone. Don't injure anyone. Everything we've already said. That is the bridge. Saturn is that bridge because Saturn will bring you situations that will cause you pain and suffering, but that are intended to make you grow and develop as a son with a womb or without a womb. Y'all, in other words, personal development opportunities. Saturn will bring that for you. And that's that bridge that the author is talking about here, okay? That bridge are those lessons. So a man never knows how strong he is, right? I'm paraphrasing Noble Drew Ali, until he's faced with problems that cause him to stretch and reach. This is Saturn, that's the bridge that he's talking about, okay? So let's go back. It says here, astronomically, the planet Saturn is of the greatest importance to the Negro race today, right? Noble Drew Ali said, help me redeem my people from their sinful ways. How? Taking them from the lower self to the higher self along that bridge. All right, y'all? He continues. Because it indicates a bridging over to a new condition, new mindset, new condition, and into an entirely new development, which has to do with Africa. Now, this author, he might be talking about Africa in the East. He might be talking about Africa in the West, right? A maxim. Let's continue. I think he's talking about a maxim or the Americas as Africa, right? Where Saturn has always been peculiarly potent. Astronomically, the polarity of Saturn must be repolarized in Africa. So I'm going to rock with Africa. He means a maxim. The Americas, okay? Because it actually does mean that. Now let's continue. He says here, astrologically, the polarity of Saturn must be repolarized into Africa by the Negro race. In other words, you have to save yourself. Of course, this would be Moors, right? That primitive people, primitive means autochthonous Moors, Genesis chapter 2, verse 7. That primitive, that original people belonging to an immense past. In fact, it's so long, it's uncountable, undeterminable how long our history is. He continues, with only a few remnants of correlative races remaining. Now here's the point. The early races, the early Moors, because there's no such thing as a race, right? The early races being dark, a certain stigma has been placed upon them. Okay, so you have dark skin, you are autochthonous. They're looking at you stereotypically in an extremely negative way. Well, here it is. And even to the present time. So this existed for a long time. The present time was 1921 or 1927 when this book was published. Even to the present time. They, that is these Moors, these dark-complected people, or copper-colored people, I should say, Okay. Okay, so they are thought by some, these would be those people who are in powerful positions, secret society members at the upper level. They are thought by some not only to be born without souls, S-O-U-L-S. You're born without a soul. But that's actually true because the Catholics made this whole notion of a S-O-U-L soul up that survives death and goes to heaven or goes to hell and burns for eternity. They made that up. I'll tell you how they made it up. Here's where they got it from. S-O-L in Latin, soul, means the S-U in sun. The S-U in soul, the S-U in sun, sun's function is to provide heat on planet Earth so that life can exist, right? So that plants can grow, so that the life cycle can take place, the food cycle can, and the water cycle, right? To facilitate life, provides heat. Well, we also have an SOL inside of our physical body that provides heat, and the same functionality that the SUN sun provides for the earth, our SOL inside of us provides for our physical body to be able to eat, metabolize, grow, the life cycle, how everything that we do. Okay, so they just put a U after the O, or between the O and the L and soul, and now you got soul. And then they made money off of it, right? They monetized it, as they say today, and then they scared you to death. They gave you the carrot and the stick, heaven or hell. You listen to the ecclesiastical class, follow the doctrine, the dogmatic doctrine, the dogmatic religious belief system, you go to heaven. If you don't follow the dogmatic belief system, you go burn in hell for eternity. So they give you the carrot and the stick, fear and pleasure. But you're motivated by fear, as most people are. All right, so let's keep it going. Listen to this. So you Moors, according to the Osirians, the solar Zodiac people and the solar religious people, you're born without souls. Notice this. But past redemption, and to be excluded from the heaven of the Christians. And did you hear that? You are past redemption. That means you cannot be saved. This is Mark chapter 4, verse 12. Jesus said, I speak to the people in puzzles and riddles and parables, so that although having eyes to see, they cannot perceive, having ears to hear, they cannot or will never understand, so that they will never be able to repent. Or some versions will say they will never be able to turn back, right? And be saved. Okay, in other words, you will be civilly dead and in bondage for eternity. They want you to be their slave and all of your heirs to be their slave for eternity. Jesus said this himself. Mark chapter 4, verse 12. Now listen to what he says now. This is what he said. The author gives a reason. Listen to this. They are thought by some not only to be born without souls, but past redemption, beyond being able to be forgiven of your sins and be saved. Therefore, and to be excluded from heaven. You can't go into heaven. And when Dr. Clark asked that hybrid man he worked for when he was a little boy, he said, well, sir, can't they just let a few little 3 or 4 black babies in heaven? That was the funniest thing to me. He said he looked at all the pictures. He didn't see not one little black baby in heaven. Well, now you know why. Well, here's the reason why. Here's their rationale. Okay? So The Moors, the Negroes, are excluded from heaven of the Christians because, this is the reason, because means why, because they belong to a previous, because they belong to a period previous, a period before, a period previous to the entrance of the solar reckoning of time, because they belong to a period previous to the solar zodiac projection, before the fatherhood had been inaugurated. So, under the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers, the circumpolar zodiac projection, we had the great mother typhoon, the mother and son. And we reckon time by the stars, stellar reckoning of time. Natural law, do no harm, do no injury. They're Hermetic laws. Under the solar zodiac projection, the solar reckoning of time, they go by the father and son. The patriarchy, the father and son. Y'all see it? So YHWH, the tetragrammaton, Yahoo, Yahweh, Jehovah, this deity at its initial introduction was feminine. But when the Osirians conquered our ancient ancestors, they made the feminine Jehovah, Yahweh, Yahuwah, Yahu, into a masculine deity. So let me correct that. Jehovah was primarily feminine. But then that doesn't really mean anything, right? Because you're either primarily feminine or you're primarily masculine. Right? Because this is the Hermetic law of gender. Everything has gender. Masculine and feminine energy. It just matters which of those you have most. You're either predominantly feminine, which makes you feminine, or you're predominantly masculine, which makes you masculine. So they just reversed it. Y'all see it? This is the law of polarity. They just reversed it, took it to the extreme opposite. That's the key to deconstructing, one of the keys to deconstructing this, all right, if you care to know. Do y'all see that? So according to the Osirians, according to the solar zodiac that everybody knows today, that's all we know, right? If you are a Moor, if you are autochthonous, indigenous, you can't go to heaven. Your sins can't be forgiven. You cannot be saved, but they ain't gonna tell you that. But that explains their cruel treatment of you. And by the way, scholars, when you see those magicians in the de facto courtroom that they call magistrates, those de facto judges, these magicians, they're wearing black because they are pretending to be Saturn. Saturn, the planet Saturn, who does what? Sends you lessons in the form of pain and suffering. I hope y'all putting two and two together. Why, when you go into those venues, they bully you or attempt to bully you and attempt to give you as much pain and suffering as they possibly can. Because it is a priesthood. All right? So in their mind, they're acting in harmony with nature by giving you punishment. Do y'all see it? Why? Because you are not in honor of your ancient foremothers and forefathers. Exodus chapter 20, verse 12. Honor your ancient foremothers and forefathers. And we as a people are not doing that. So hence the curses, Deuteronomy 28. And a people who are not a people, the hybrids, are behind it. Hold on, y'all. I gotta take a break. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. 1 moment. All right, y'all. So let's pick it back up. So there you have it, right? There you have it. A Moor cannot be a Christian. A Moor cannot be involved in any of these solar religions because you ain't got nothing coming, all right? You are a heathen who is unredeemable. In other words, a good-for-nothing N-word, right? Who's only good to do what? To do work. As a matter of fact, let me show y'all. Hold on. I really enjoy showing this image because it says so much. This image just says so much. Hold on. The image says everything. I mean, Oh, shoot, I don't know where it's at. I got so many pictures, I don't see it right away. Hold on. I think I'm close. Hold on. I think I'm getting close. Hold on. It's a picture of JC. I pass it. Hold on, y'all. Oh, shoot, I don't know where it's at. Let me try to Google search it. Hold on. Let me Google it. If I don't find it right away, I'll move on. There's a picture with Jesus published by the Watchtower, and he has his hand like this, and there's a Negro in the palm of his hand. Y'all know what I'm talking about? There's a Negro in the palm of his hand. I don't see it. Next time I come on, I'll find it. I'll show y'all in the next one. But what it's showing, see, why would Jesus have the Negro in his hand, and he's giving it to who's supposed to be the Apostle John the Revelator? The book of Revelation is purely astrological. Okay? And John has a letter what looks like a bill in his hand. A bill. Okay, y'all? Is Jesus selling the Negro as property? I mean, who knows? We can go on and on. Anyway, sorry, y'all. It looks like they're going to close soon. So I'm going to go home. Hope y'all learned something. Islam to all the Moors. Assalamu alaikum. Shalawama. I'll see y'all on the next one. I, self, law, am master. So you have a better understanding of that now, right? You know what? Let me give it one more try before I go to find this picture. Hold on. Ah, here we are. Found it. Got it. So y'all take a look at this. So this was published in a book by the Jehovah's Witnesses. It's a red book. I remember when it first came out. I think it's called Revelation and its Grand Climax, something like that. They had all kind of wild stuff in that book. I think they stopped publishing it because people saw what they were doing. They thought no one would see this. Now, y'all look at that. Who is in his palm? Who's in the palm of his hand? Do y'all see that Negro in the palm of JC's hand? Tell me y'all don't see that Negro who does not have a soul, who is beyond redemption. In other words, his sins cannot be forgiven. So therefore, he's excluded from heaven. So that means he's cursed to burn in hell. And on earth to be what? A servant, a slave. In other words, a bondman, bondwoman, civilly dead in the eyes of the law and politically dead. Y'all see it? And a lot of the Hebrew Israelites, the religious ones at least, brag about. Now let's go to the Apostle John the Revelator. Y'all see he has a bill in his hand. Now look at his other hand. He has something that almost looks like a butterfly. I don't know what that is. What do y'all think that is? Looks like a butterfly, or is it a dove? If it's a dove, it traces back to the great mother typhoon. If it's a miniature dove, do y'all see that? Look at that image. See, why is that paper torn? Now look at JC. His head is the sun. There are 7 bands, 7 circles around his head representing the 7 orbits of the planets. Purely celestial. You see the clouds? Yeah, the sun comes back on the clouds every day, don't it? Every morning, sun comes back on the cloud. Okay, bills of attainder, bill of sales, bills of pain and suffering. Notice JC's feet are in the water. Y'all see that? Now there's a picture of Noble Darrell-El carrying the Moabite woman out of the water onto the dry land. She's carrying the worries of the world, right? And he's rescuing her. Look at this. So if you understood the celestial ship of the north, you'd understand the relationship that this has to that. Okay, y'all? Now you notice he has the peace sign, right? So as long as they got you, as long as Christianity has you in the palm of its hand, they have peace. Y'all hear that? As long as you believe in these dogmatic belief systems, they have you in the palm of their hand and they have peace. But you are suffering. And how do they have peace? How is it that they have peace? Well, the same way they tell you. The best way to have peace is through what? Big weapons. Big weapons. A strong military. In other words, threat. Fear and threat. Y'all got it? Islam to all the Moors. Assalamu alaikum. I, self, law, and master. I see y'all on the next one. Comment, like, and subscribe, okay, y'all? Help get the video to at least a few people, all right? That's the least you can do.